And so in this video, I'll be answering the question, if I actually arrive in Canada alone, how long should I stay in Canada before I apply for my family to come? And then the second question is going to be, if I'm applying for my family, what are some of the documents that I need to show? And thirdly, if I'm applying for my family in terms of proof of funds, how much exactly do I need to show for my family if I'm already in Canada? So if there's some of the questions that you have, be rest assured that they're going to be getting answers in this video. So make sure you definitely stick to the end of this video. Hi, my name is Peter Cicely. I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Alberta in Canada. So in this channel, I talk about everything that's what we study in Canada, moving to Canada, visa application and the like. So if there's something that you're interested in, make sure you hit that like button and then also subscribe, and so that whenever new videos are posted, you will be the first to get notified. Let's go straight into the video. You've been thinking, should I really apply, for myself alone, or should I apply with family? And maybe I want to use my family as a home tie. So if I use them as a home tie, and where exactly, maybe you're thinking about, if I apply alone, it's going to be beneficial to the study permit application as compared to applying with everybody. Now, I'm here to debunk, that myth that says, oh, the more you, well, necessarily that, oh, if you add your family member, it decreases the chances. And it all depends on the person who reviewed the application, right? Because this is the point where they use their discretion. Okay, now there are two kinds of people you might encounter. You might apply alone, and if that person is a family oriented man, this is more like a personal, using a personal judgment. Oh, why didn't this person apply with a family? Okay. And another person might say, well, okay, you have your family as home ties, then that is good. But I would say overall, if you have the funds necessary to apply with your family, it is not a disadvantage. Okay, I've done a video on some of the things that you can use as home tie: your job, if you have a landed or properties and all that, if you have a registered business in your home country, if maybe your extended family, your father, your mother, they're in your home country, these are good home ties. And most important of all, explaining in details to the visa officers what you're going to do upon returning to your country is enough. You don't need to worry yourself and say, oh, I'm leaving. If leaving your children behind or your family is the sole purpose of, maybe because of home tie, that is sole purpose of leaving them, that may not be the best option. Because if you actually apply together, they are going to look at you as the applicant. If they're going to approve your study permit, they're going to mostly approve your spouse work permit and either the visiting or study permit for your children. Okay, now as to when exactly should you, if you apply alone and then you come to Canada and you're thinking, now when should I actually now apply for them? The question is, you can apply from the very first day you arrive in Canada. There is no time frame. Okay, you can apply anytime, but this now depends on a whole lot of factors. Things like, when are you going to get ready? When are you going to have the funds necessary to support your children's or your spouse application? If you are the one that will gather the funds, it might take you a couple of months to put some things together. If you haven't started preparing for their application, when you arrive in Canada, it might take you a few weeks, a few months to get yourself ready. But a smart person will actually start putting all of the plans together so that when they arrive in Canada, immediately they're already putting up application for them. Okay. And another question maybe people have asked, oh, we just got married recently, it's not up to a month or two, is it going to be a problem? No, it's not going to be an issue. They don't care. You can marry today, go to Canada tomorrow. One of the things you have to show is to really justify that this relationship has been on for a very long time. And what are some of the things you can use? You can use things like very old pictures to show that, yeah, we've been together for a long time. And if you have maybe one or two transactions you've done with maybe sending money and all that, and you have, transactions that are out to like 2 months old and all that, you can, pick out some of those things and say, hey, this is proof that we've been together for a long time. Okay, Now, another question would be, if I'm already in Canada and I want to apply for them, am I going to use my own RSC portal? No. The question is no. Only if you come to Canada, maybe your study permit duration wasn't that long, maybe your passport was expiring and all that. If you get a shorter study permit duration, when you want to extend your study permit, you cannot include your family in the application, so everybody is going to be in that same application, one GCK. You're using your own portal. But if you are not renewing your study permit or extending, then you can create a new GCK for your spouse, and if you have children, you can then include your children in the application. It's going to be the same question. Now you're going to fill, right? They're going to ask you, based on the information, do you have a spouse in Canada and all of these things. Then they will not determine, okay, this person is applying for open work permit. They will not ask you, do you want to add after filling the question, do you want to add another family member in the application? If you say yes, you can fill your children, depending on all of the children that you have. And in fact, do you know that you can also, this is just an in-house secret, okay? Because I did that for someone, I gathered someone who did that not long ago. If you have your not necessarily your younger brother, or let's say your cousin, your cousin or whatever, or it can even be your niece, okay? And if, let's say, they don't have a father or mother, as the case may be, and you are now their guardian, so you have that legal custodianship of them, okay? Do you know that you can also do an application for them to come to Canada with you, maybe especially through visiting, right? So that is just an insider secret, but don't just go and be adding everybody to the application, right? Because you're going to need that legal custodianship for them. Or maybe they are late, or maybe for some reasons you're not the one taking care of him or her, but you have 100% late, then you can do applications for them, okay? Now, let's talk about the amount. How much do I necessarily have to put in the account for my spouse, okay, or my children? There is not a definite amount per se. Like if you go to RSC, you will not see specifically this is the amount you have to put for open work permit. So my advice on general rule would be, if you've already paid your tuition, that is good. You're going to include your full tuition receipts. And then for your children, my recommendation and advice would be, still try to show a minimum of that 4,000 for your spouse and 3,000 for every other subsequent person that you've been added to the application. But if you have not paid your tuition, my advice would be, try to still show evidence that you'll be able to pay your tuition, and then the other additional 4,000, 3,000, 3,000 for a subsequent person that you're going to be adding to the application, okay? And then include your study permit, get enrollment letter from your institution, and then your student ID card, of course. And then for your spouse, if they're working, letter of employment from where they're working, then they can also get their ID card. Anybody can show the funds, okay? It can be you in Canada, even your spouse in Nigeria can also show their account, okay? And if you come to Canada and you still have an account in your home country, you can also use that account in your home country because it is your account, okay? So these are some of the intricacies that you kind of need to put in place when thinking about applying for your family. And another thing I want to quickly touch on is, do I apply for visiting or apply for work permit? It's totally up to you. Some people apply for visiting for their spouse, and then when their spouse comes to Canada, there is the option of changing it to, you can apply for work permit from inside of Canada. Well, this is just my recommendation, or this is my preference, so it's up to you. My preference is actually applying for the open work permit directly, because when you come, you can get your work, if you apply for the work permit, and you can get maybe between 2 to 3 months. When your spouse comes to Canada, they're going to start working right away, okay? So if you are in Canada with a visitor's visa for your spouse, you can apply from inside of Canada. It might take a month or two, depends, to review the application. Or You can also do what they call flagpole, where you go out of the border when you're already Canada, and then you can enter Canada, and then you get your open. A lot of people also do that. Okay, and now for your children, should I do visiting for them or should I do study permit for them? Now there are two things. There is really not. It's really not very defined for what you should apply for your children, but there's a general rule, like if you have a study permit, your children don't actually need study permit to study in Canada. Even though they come as a visitor, when they get to Canada, when they get to the border, that they're going to give them visitors record, and with that they will be able to attend schools. But I've seen cases where someone applied for visiting for their child, and the embassy, the visa officer, canceled their application for that child alone and said, oh, they're not supposed to apply for, they apply for the wrong service. So the child now has to go apply for study permit. Okay, at that time the parent, study permit was already approved. You don't even need a letter of acceptance. I know they're going to bring a space to say, oh, letter of acceptance. You can just write a letter of exemption, because and just say, oh, it's stated on the IRCC website that when a parent, is going or having a study permit, the child does not need to have a letter of acceptance. Okay, you don't need to worry about having letter of acceptance. Now, my recommendation would be, if the child is less than 4 years old, you can apply for visiting for the child. But so which means when the child gets to Canada, they will give him or her visitors record. If they are more than 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and all that, apply for study permit. You don't need like I said, you don't need letter of acceptance. Just write a very short letter of exemption and put that, and just say that, oh, you already have study permit in Canada. Or if you're including everybody in the application, maybe your first time, just say that, oh, my child is exempt from getting acceptance letter because I'm going for study. So I believe I have answered a lot of the questions, but if you feel there are one or two questions that I haven't touched in regards to these particular applying for children and your spouse and outside of Canada, what you can do, leave a question in the comment section and I will try to address those issues. And if you haven't subscribed, maybe if you got useful content out of this video, why don't you consider subscribing to this channel, and also like this video to help YouTube recommend this video to other people. And if you're thinking, oh, Peter, I'm in a very difficult situation that is different from what we've talked about in this video, and I need one-on-one guide and assistance, I do have a one-on-one mentorship program where you can talk to me one-on-one, tell me your situation, and I will give you the best guide and the best advice as regards to application. There is going to be a link in the description. Definitely just check it out. Contact me via email or through my website, and then I'll sign up for my mentorship program, and then I'll be able to guide you. I've got thousands of people on this, and then I think you will be next to testify. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next video. Cheers. My name is Peter Esisele. Bye.